Hello and welcome back to the Fish and Chip podcast. I'm your host Jason, aka Fish,
And I'm your host Shane, aka Chips.
and on this week's podcast, we're going to be talking about the new Steven Spielberg sci-fi epic Ready Player One, and we'll also be talking about the new video game from Ubisoft,
Far Cry
the
5.
the most anticipated Far Cry 5, which has been delayed about fucking 50 billion times.
Yeah, and they
So
could delay it another 50 billion years if all I fucking care.
yeah, Shane's pretty down on the game, and I haven't played it yet. So
Yeah,
even
I
though I'm a
mean,
big Far
they
Cry
might
fan.
as well have shat on the disc and handed it to you.
Okay, let's not get ahead of ourselves here. It's not our first topic. Our first topic instead is Steven Spielberg's new film Ready Player One, which is a film about it's based off of the 2011 novel by Ernest Cline. So the story follows a guy called, what's the guy character's name
Wade.
again?
Wade is the main
Wade, yeah,
character.
Wade is the main guy's character's name, played by Ty Sheridan, but we know him as Parzival for most of the game. It's like this. It's kind of a hard concept to grasp. It's kind of like
Well, it's VR is starting to get introduced into modern day now with the Oculus and other
the Sony one.
other
What's the Sony one called again?
I don't know, but there's like a lot of virtual reality stuff that's getting implemented into this generation now. And this movie is kind of at the right place to come out because it's exploring like in 30 years time where virtual reality has basically taken over.
Yeah.
And there's this big popular one called the Oasis, or the only one nearly basically. That's the Oasis, where it basically contains all of, it's just a more interesting world, and everything, all video games are kind of combined, and you can swap over to the other
Games,
stuff
yeah, other
and
games and worlds almost like.
worlds, and
Yeah.
you nearly earn your living out of the virtual reality because the life in modern world is so boring
Crap.
and dull
But also overpopulated. So like
and overpopulated. Yeah.
the main character, Ty Sheridan's character is from, is it Columbia? Or not
Uh,
Columbia, Columbus. Is it? Yeah, Columbus,
Columbus.
Ohio. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, man. American states, not my or American places, not my forte. But yeah, so he's from Columbus, Ohio, and it's like the fastest growing city in the world. He's from this place called the Stacks, which is essentially buildings that are like built on top of each other, like houses that are built like on top of each other, but like not proper structures. They're like
It's basically
Yeah.
it's like
it's like the favelas in.
it's like
Brazil
basically
almost.
towers just designed in a junkyard state.
Yeah, pretty
It's
much.
basically a load of caravans and stuff dumped on top of each other and not really organized in any particular order. It's just so they have somewhere for someone to go in. Sure, some people are basically living in the sewers in this
Yeah, essentially, yeah.
in this reality.
Like it's because the place is so overpopulated that everyone is kind of crammed into like one area. That's where our main character is from. So he goes to the Oasis every day to like escape his life essentially because there's nothing in Columbus, Ohio for him. And in the Oasis, when the film starts out, it kind of makes out that he's a bit of a he's not, I wouldn't say a big deal, but like he would be like a highly ranked character.
Basically,
Like, for the
he's
most
very
part.
good at the game and he has a lot of knowledge in
Yeah.
it. And he's not like starting off from the complete dumps. Like it's like they've established that that he actually knows the world
Yeah,
well,
he knows what he's
and
doing.
he
not a
has
maverick, like.
he has a goal of he's involved in the Easter egg hunt, which is
Yeah.
the whole premise of
Film.
the film, which is basically the creator of this Oasis, the virtual reality, he left behind three keys, and if you find all three of the keys in his Oasis world, you will have taken over. You will have full access to the Oasis, and you will have complete control over it. So it's like a Willy Wonka's type story
Yeah.
in that sense.
Where it's like, you've got to find the golden
Yeah,
ticket. Yeah.
it's trying to find a golden
But it's
ticket.
like, and he has to. So I think we'll kind of give a spoiler free kind of review first, just tell you what we thought about the film, and then we'll go into a couple more spoilers. But essentially, like the whole premise is that they almost have to go on a clue hunt through like Halliday's memories and like his life to try to figure out like what his clues are so that they can play, because you have to unlock a clue to even play the game to unlock the key. Like so there's so many things that go into like actually like getting all these keys, like because the first game has been unlocked for 5 years nearly and no one has been able to complete it, which is like this car
Yeah.
race which they show you at the start.
And
So
basically,
yeah,
there's a huge corporation as well in it which actually makes sense. It's like corporations are trying to get access to the
yeah.
Oasis, so they are hiring people to go and work for are working to try and actually try and figure out what he was
Yeah,
his whole coating. Though,
because it's the biggest tech company in the
yeah,
world, and if you win the game, you get to keep their fortune. Essentially, you
yeah.
get all of his shot stocks in the company, and he owns, I think, 100% of the company. So you basically get to own his company, like, and run it forever. So
Yeah, I think we've established the premise pretty well,
yeah, I think
and
so. Yeah. So
will we just
go
summarize
into
what we
what
think
we
of
yeah,
it?
what we liked and what we didn't like. So do you want
Yeah.
to go first?
Well, so we're not in spoiler territory yet. Anyway, we'll keep. What I liked anyway was I thought the premise was pretty fun.
The premise is great. You can tell the book is probably a lot more interesting than the movie, I would say.
Yeah, and like the characters are interesting in it, but I mean, that's kind of why I can only really say now without spoiling
Yeah.
anything.
Well, you can talk about like the special effects and the
Special
filmmaking. I
effects.
thought the special effects were very, very good. Like very like we saw it in
I
Max,
found it a
which
bit
is
off-putting
IMAX.
sometimes.
It was definitely
At the start,
it's
uh,
quite weird to get used to.
at the start, there was definitely some parts where you would just go. I thought it was a bit. I don't know. Kind of felt it felt a bit much, and so at the start
It's kind of
anyway,
weird out there,
you
isn't it?
get you get you get thrown in right away into this world, like, and
Yeah.
it's just kind of like you get a slight view of the normal world, then you get just thrown straight into the Oasis,
I think that that's kind of like
and it's
yeah.
like it swaps between like loads like a galaxy kind of format into loads of things and just pushing through, but it's very dizzy how they did it, and I didn't really like that because it was like I was like, if I felt dizzy about it, there's definitely other people who are like I felt that could trigger an epileptic effect, like
Yeah, it could, yeah.
with how they fucking did it, like, because they went right through they went like they established like a Mario Galaxy type universe, go into like other worlds, like they had a kind of that type of style, like a galaxy, and they were going into races, going into Batman stuff and all this and different characters, casinos, modern type things, you know.
Yeah, no, I think that that brings me into kind of one of my biggest problems with the film. Like you summarized it perfectly, is the pacing is all over the place in parts.
Yeah.
Like I actually thought, unlike you, I thought that actually started out pretty strong. I did think that it
Well,
was a bit jarring.
yeah.
It definitely is a bit jarring because they're bringing you to these all these different worlds, and it's a lot to take in. Like it is a lot for any person to take in.
Like, I think having so many walls, they obviously had to still have multiple walls in it. It's just the way
Had
they
did it.
just they demonstrated these walls. It was kind of like it added way too many questions.
Yeah,
As in, there was they threw in questions that were not necessary to the actual story. Like,
yeah.
kind of like they were showing things, and you were just like, I felt you were just looking at it like you had to try your best not to think logically about this. Like,
No, well, yeah, well, it's not like it's not exactly something you can really think about logically because it's like so out there because it's a
yeah,
video game and it can be whatever you want kind of thing. I think it's more down to I think that the reason they tried to show all these worlds is because the book has so much packed into it. Like I haven't actually read the book, but from what people have told me and from what like just based off of my experience of the movie, I feel like the book had a lot more time to show you all these worlds and like give you a bit more in-depth knowledge about them and like it took its time, whereas in the movie it had to like go bang 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 because there's so much stuff to do. Like honestly, they could have split this into two movies. Like like unlike the Hobbit films, you're like, oh, it had three, it should have been like two
yeah.
or
They could have
one.
made a second,
They
but
could have they could have split this they could have split this
I'm
plot
glad
into
they
two
didn't. To
movies.
be honest, it wouldn't have gone well if they did. I think they were
I think it
better.
would have.
No, I
I
think
feel like it was really really rushed. Like especially the second the middle part of the film is so rushed and all over
and
the place.
I think
It's so rushed.
like they threw in a lot at once, but I think they wouldn't have known what to throw in if they had more time with it.
I think that
I
there's a
don't.
lot they could have done, especially character development, right? So maybe not the worlds. They could have spent a bit more time
Because when they have
doing
two
the
movies,
worlds.
they would have had to throw in filler or into
Not
it and shit.
necessarily. Like the books, just from my quick looking at the synopsis
See,
on Wikipedia, it seems like a lot of like themes and stuff from the book were cut out, and a lot of character development. And like that is honestly the biggest problem with the film, right? Is the character development. like you really don't care about most of the characters in the film. Like you do, I suppose you do care about Parzival, Ty Sheridan's character, like Parzival Wade, like whatever you want to call him, as which is actually a point they make in the film, you know,
The only thing
because it's
about
all
this
one
is it
person.
wasn't a guarantee money grabber at all.
It
This one,
definitely was, man. People have been waiting for it for ages, and it's
yeah.
got so much talent behind it. The cast is very good. Like the director, Steve Spielberg, he
No, but
does
it could
have
have
some
gone.
nods,
It
but
could. The premise itself, it could have been perceived well or bad. I mean, after the first one, people mightn't have wanted to see the second one. So they
uh,
were the safer option was to
one
bring
film, yeah,
bring
I
out one
suppose,
film.
but
It's like for they do. It's like that with a lot of like like if you're trying to bring out sequels to if you have a plan on sequels after, generally they try to keep it in trilogy format if they are to do that. Most movies do it like
well, they
if they're
definitely could have made a
gonna
trilogy anyway.
they
They
couldn't have made a
definitely could have
trilogy,
made a
but
trilogy.
that's usually the plan when they make out like multiple format. It's generally trilogies. You don't usually see just a string of two movies. It's always it's in sets of three mostly.
Yeah,
Like if you think of it, Amazing Spider-Man was supposed to be three. They had
yeah, but that's because the second one sucks.
yeah,
Like,
but it was supposed to be three. It was a trilogy. They second, I had a
it got
few in my head.
cancelled.
Sure, like
Well, what's your point? Like, that the most films are made in
yeah,
trilogies.
but
Yeah,
they
of course
make
they
them
are.
more than two. There's not that many
Yeah, I know there's not,
movie
but I'm just
films.
saying that
Like
like this
if they
this could
brought
have
them out
been.
in two, it wouldn't have worked. I don't think.
I think it could have definitely worked because this film was really rushed. Like it was like honestly, the pacing, man, in parts was like, especially right. It happens. There is a certain part in the film which we'll get to later where the pacing just takes oh man, it just like it takes a nosedive into like what the hell is going on. It's in just thing after thing after thing happens, and after a while you're just like where's like the breathing room, where's the like time for the characters to like develop, because you're getting to meet some of these people for the first time in the real world, like outside of the game, and their personalities are very different inside the game, and they just seem like caricatures of like real people, like, and even the villain, like Ben Mendelsohn, who was very good in the film, at parts he's just a caricature of like what his character looked was at for most of the film. Like it just becomes like really really childish, and obviously
The other
a thing
thing
like
is
this is going to be childish, right?
yeah.
but but it didn't need to be that childish. Like really, like I just don't think. I just think that
But the only thing, what you're
it
actually
didn't
saying
work.
there, is the fact that it was like made for, it was definitely made for children
Oh
and
yeah, of
adults.
course,
Mixed,
yeah.
it was a mixed group. It was
It
made for
was,
a
yeah, of
mixed bag.
course.
Though, but a lot of it was definitely more directed towards a younger audience.
Oh
The
yeah,
whole thing is if they were to bring out it into a younger audience might forget because this is actually
yeah.
this is actually there's a lot of content in this in this movie. Like there's a this will be one of those things you could end up throwing to the side your memory of it, like
Oh yeah,
because
definitely.
there
Well,
is a
even
lot
though
of
it has the book has a massive fan base, and I think all those people are always going to go watch the films.
yeah.
Like even though I know that there are people that are like wouldn't really like for a lot of books. A lot of people will be like, oh, it only exists in book form in my mind. It will never exist in any other way. But because of the premise and because it's so visual, I think that it's something that can really work as a movie in
Also,
my mind.
there's a lot of big names in here, and the whole thing is it's a commitment to go in for a sequel. So they mightn't have got the same actors if they went
Well,
for
yeah, but then they
if
just
they had a
sign. Yeah,
plan
but then
for
they sign them down to two contracts. Like
yeah, but
that's what
two
you do. That's not how it
yeah,
works.
but that's the whole thing.
Yeah, but
They
sure.
mightn't have signed down for two
But yeah, but then
contracts.
you get someone else. Like it's not like
But
that's this is like common practice in Hollywood. You sign people down to a multiple movie
yeah,
contract when they start, and if they don't want to do it, you get someone else to do it. Like as in you have it when
but
they're
they mightn't have
doing.
got as big of a
Possibly not, but like look at all the people that do
yeah.
sequels nowadays. It's like such a big thing, and also if the first movie was as a success as it was, because it is a big box office
Yeah,
success right
yeah,
now.
it is.
Like everyone's gonna want to do it, like so they are, because
I'm glad
it's
they
like
didn't make a
working
sequel
with
anyway.
Spielberg. Well, they're not. Well, they could make a sequel
I
now. Who
hate
knows?
waiting for. I'm just glad it was all out at once because I wouldn't. I wouldn't like. It was a good movie, but it's not something like I'm like, oh, what's happened next? So I don't really give a
Like
shit. Like,
honestly, for myself, right, and you know that I'm a person that I love watching things in a like one go. I love marathon things. I hate waiting. With this, I actually was like, I would have preferred if they just cut it in two and actually developed things out more, branched it out a bit more, because I think that overall the film, although it's got a really good concept, really good visuals, great cast, like most of the acting is pretty good, the direction is great. I just think it falls flat in terms of like the pacing of the story, just the structure, the character development, like a lot of things that like it's not the most essential thing for a film like this because it is more of a visual experience. But for me, I think that because of all that stuff, I would probably throw this movie into more of like a mid to light 7 rather than what it could have been, which was definitely like a high 8. It could have easily been gotten 8 or 9 in my book, but
Right.
it just falls down a couple points because of the character development and stuff. So what
So
about you, score wise? And
yeah,
we'll
man.
get on to spoilers after that then.
So I'd give it around 7, 8.
7, 8, yeah.
A solid 7. We'll say
Yeah.
a solid 7.
We're in the same kind of boat then, really. So, kind of getting into spoiler territory now for about 5 or 10 minutes because, like, honestly, it's this film. I'm not gonna lie, it's not like if you got spoilers for this film, you probably wouldn't care that much. It is one of those films though that it's kind of nice to go into not knowing anything about it, but it is more a visual experience than anything else. Like visually, it's stunning and like all that kind of the direction, like the filmmaking is all great. But the story stuff does get a bit weak.
It was
at
alright. Like
times.
I mean, the friends. I mean, the one thing it was, the whole friend group. It kind of. I was like, how the hell did all of that group happen to be in the same town? I mean, like I mean, just the fact it was like they established the whole thing that it was around the world kind of thing.
Yeah.
They shouldn't have. They shouldn't have connect. I mean, like having them connect in real life. Maybe have one or two connect, and maybe have like have them all fly to each other to meet it finally at the end or something. But they shouldn't have. They should have made it kind of feel more vast. That like as in the Oasis feel like it was actually stretching across. More and more because it was just literally. They literally just wanted to do this whole concept where boy actually finally gets to meet girl.
Yeah.
That whole thing is like but it would have been done way better if they had they should have done what the thing was designed with, the whole distance concept. Sure, even the co-creator of the Oasis was what happened
Just right there, yeah.
just turned
Yeah,
up
but
right in the
that's what I'm
same
saying is in like
spot.
the pacing thing is so bad because it's like because it feels like no time has passed, right? Whereas in realistically time has probably passed in between all the stuff happening. As in there is probably time passing between like Ty Sheridan's aunt dying, which he seemed to not care about after like
Yeah.
2 minutes as well.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
that was one thing. They just didn't care because you know what? He didn't have time to care because the film was like, we gotta get on to the next thing.
Yeah,
now,
no, I
like,
give you that. Yeah,
The
that's
kids
very
are the
true.
kids are waiting. We gotta sell them more toys.
They could have actually had to stop there.
Yeah,
now.
of course.
They could have
They could
definitely
have
stretched the
easily.
movie out to where she dies. I give you that.
But like they also had this period as well where they're gonna develop the relationship between Wade and what was your one's real name again?
I was
Artemis.
I was
Whatever
just
her real
thinking
name
there,
is. I
it
can't
could have
remember.
actually easily been designed for a trilogy because the three keys.
Yeah, exactly. They easily could have, right? But not only that, right? Not only that, right? They could have spent this. They could have spent a long period. They could have spent like a decent bit of time, right?
This was a trilogy, guys. It was just we didn't have the money.
They had the money. They were
They
just
didn't
like
get the budget.
they were just trying to fit it all into one, man. They were like, I don't know who that Spielberg's choice was. That the studios. I have no idea. Like, was it the? It could have been Ernest Cline. I mean, he is the person that wrote the screenplay for this, along with another guy called Zach Penn, who I've never heard of. Not even gonna pretend to know who that guy is. He probably has written other stuff that I know. I just don't know him by person. Let's just double check. But anyway, like what I'm saying is that oh yeah, Zach Penn also wrote the Avengers as well, and the Incredible Hulk, and also X-Men 2. Wow, this guy's prolific. I take back what I just said. Yeah, but like that's what I'm saying. Where they could have spent more time developing relationships between characters, and they just didn't. They just kept rushing, and like it felt like he was in the Resistance. You were the Resistance. That whole concept lasted for about 10 minutes of the film.
Sure.
He was in that Resistance base for like 2 minutes of film time, and then he was just gone. And like your one was like taken away, and then she was like all like fucked up and shit. When like she was like because she had been like working for the man like for Ben Mendelsohn's character, but she was literally there for like all of like 2 minutes of screen time. So it felt like she was there for probably like a day maybe at most. Like they could have spread that out a bit longer. They could have had her struggle a bit more and like give her a bit of like something to overcome. Like obviously because like they were overcoming stuff throughout the entire film, but like personal struggle, like for just one character to go through by themselves, which is something that films do, and this film could have done but just didn't. And then like they just keep introducing you to character after character after character, like in the real world, and you're like, I don't know who you are in the real. I know your gaming person is, but you're obviously clearly not the same person. Like you're
Because they were trying to.
portraying a version of yourself that she even makes that point in the film.
They were
She even
trying to-
says, "I
yeah.
show you what I want you to see." Like so that means you don't know any of these people. Like it's just no.
It would have been It also, because it was directed towards like children as well in the big, it would have been very nice if they had that whole concept actually established. Because like I mean, like not movies aren't necessarily supposed to be like about learning or that, but in this one there was definitely some things that they could have pulled out a moral out of it.
But there were a couple morals in the film, like
Well,
the
like I
moral,
mean,
like you gotta live in the real world.
yeah,
You
live in
know.
the real world. That was the thing towards the end. But there was the whole thing of, your identity, like that. There was like they were like, as we were saying just there, like about the identity of people. It's not the same as your character. It's like you be who you want to be in this oasis world. It would have been nice if they explored who they really are properly. Like,
Exactly, yeah.
you know.
They never did that though. Because and that's the kind of development you want from a film like this. Like because the film's point seems to be that like you have to live in the real world. You have to be who you really are. Like none of these people actually, other than like Ty Sheridan's character Wade and like Artemis to a certain extent, they never really show who they are. Like
Well, the whole point was
never really.
the whole point was that the Oasis was where they actually were able to express who they felt they
Yeah.
probably were, because they
But they
could
were
they
still
could because they could hide their identity, because
yeah.
literally, because there was a whole thing of you could disguise you could kind of, you could be more open, because you could kind of hide your like real life, even though it was felt less real.
Even though the film kind of then makes the point at the end where it's like, oh, the only way to really be yourself is to be yourself in real life, and being yourself on the internet, you're only actually showing a version of yourself. Like
Yeah.
you're not actually showing you the real person that you
I
are.
love the
Not
thing.
really.
The whole thing at the end of it was retarded, which we closed the Oasis on Tuesdays and
Yeah.
Thursdays. It was so retarded.
It's like I get the point, but it's like I don't know. It's like
But sure, I was saying to Jason at the cinema, what if your only days off are Tuesdays and
hey man,
Thursdays?
those are Wade doesn't give a fuck. Those are Wade's bang days. He doesn't care like so.
Kind of fishy schedule.
Ty Sheridan as well, for someone that spends all his days playing video games, even though I know it's like running around and stuff, man. Like that guy's ripped. I'm like, dude, you don't get that from playing video games.
They also I felt like some of the holiday the character was like, it was like inspired by how people perceive Gabe for Steam, you know,
Who?
creator
Oh,
of Steam.
Holiday, yeah, definitely, yeah.
Holiday was definitely like, it was like, oh, how people treat Gabe.
He's also like the most developed character in the entire thing, though,
He was,
and
yeah.
he's not even like technically in it because it's like for different versions of himself, like that he imbued. Like
It was
obviously,
his,
there's like footage of him. Like he's in the like that's the Holiday. He's technically not in it
but like
because
the whole thing was
it's it's
they didn't really express it, but it was, the whole thing was Wade felt close to Holiday, and though they showed a lot of Holiday, but they couldn't show much of him. Like, and as you said earlier, sure, he barely blinked when his aunt died. Like,
yeah. Well, she seems
well,
like a bit of a
I know, but
well, his her boyfriend, but he
I-
still should have cared.
no, but
Should have cared.
he was traumatized. Like, I mean, like, he actually, you could tell he probably did care, like, about it. It
You
was
know what
like,
made him forget? He was like he saw Artemis and he's like, oh,
yeah.
doesn't matter now. I love how Artemis is like, oh, you won't like the real me. I'm like hideous, and then you see her and it's like, you're better looking in real life than you are in the game. Like yeah, she has that birthmark, I know, but like it's not even a big deal. Like and that could they could have made more point out of that, and they never did. But like it's you know what this film is, a wasted opportunity. And I want to read the book now. I really do want to read the book. I don't read that often, as you can.
Speaking of
possibly
wasted
tell.
opportunities, Far Cry 5.
We're nearly there. Just give me 2 more minutes. I'm just like
I just wanted to, make
yeah,
that whole
just to make that comparison.
comparison.
I just think that in the end, this film is in a big way a bit of a wasted opportunity. I was really really enjoying it up to a point, and then you know when I stopped enjoying it, when his aunt died, because the film just took like it literally just went to shit in terms of like character development, structure, like pacing, all the essential things that a movie needs to be good. It just like absolutely crashed, like, which was really disappointing because I was hopeful that that was when the film was going to really kick on and become something special. Because up to that point, it was looking really good. Like up to that point, it was on a low 9 to a high 8, like for me. And then the battle at the end was really cool. Like all of the spectacle, it's such a spectacle. That's what brings this film up. It's such a spectacle. But I think that on in the way that films are memorable to me, this film is not memorable because it does so many things wrong that you think that a director like Steven Spielberg would spot and be like, Like maybe he was just forced into a corner because there's so much content packed into this film, and they have to sacrifice something, and they sacrificed probably the most important thing, which is like character development, like the stuff that makes you remember a film like this, other than visuals, because something can be a bit visual masterpiece, but can be forgettable, and
Yeah.
that's what this film is to me. So have you got any closing remarks on this film?
It's definitely worth a watch.
Oh, 100%, definitely worth a watch.
It's,
Definitely worth a watch.
Like, I no, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it for what it was. I don't know. Like, I mean, a lot of its content. They were kind of showing a lot of content that we see. Everything was kind of recycled material.
Yeah,
That was definitely the whole thing. Sure, the whole story was recycled material. The Easter eggs were recycled material. Everything was just a load of everything thrown together with the virtual reality premise, like. But it was nice. It was nicely done to an extent. It was just they cramped everything together.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Yeah. Okay, so do you want to move on to your favorite topic of the week, Shane?
Oh, Far Cry 5, boys.
Yeah. Okay, so Far Cry 5 was released. What was it? Last Tuesday, I think, or last Thursday?
Yeah, it was
'Cause
Tuesday. I think it was like.
Yeah.
It was the 26th, I think it was, or something.
Yeah, so it was released nearly a week. Well, I think it was released like 5 days ago for us. About a week by the time that you'll have watched this podcast. And I haven't actually played it yet. I'm a massive fan of the Far Cry games in general, though. I love 3 is one of my top 5 games of all time. I love it. Like I got it at Christmas one time, and it was just unlike anything I'd ever played.
Like Far Cry 3 it would be the same for me. It was one of the best games.
Yeah.
I actually started playing it again recently. That's what kind of got me to I'll actually go and get Far Cry 5.
Yeah.
But
You got it around
and
the same
Far
time,
Cry
didn't
4
you? Yeah. Far Cry 4 is okay.
Far Cry 4 is okay. It was very recycled and but it was alright. Like, I mean, I got over it. Like, it was a fun game. Like,
Primal sucks though. Primal's not very good.
I never played it.
It's quite boring.
Blood Dragon was fun.
I haven't actually played Blood Dragon. I played
Did
the
you
start
not?
of it. I played the start of it. Got
Blood
kind of bored.
Dragon was good crap.
They're re-releasing Far Cry 3 though with Blood Dragon. I'm pretty sure. So
Yeah.
I'm definitely gonna get that. Actually, I love Far Cry 3. I don't care if I have to pay more money for it. Like I've played that game fully through twice. Platinum did twice. So, like I'm gonna play it again. Like So we'll get on to Far Cry 5 then, Shane. You're the one that's actually played this game. So do you wanna?
Actually, it was 27th of March. It was released. I got
It's
a
actually
day
not
off.
that long ago.
So it was just be a week. It was around a week ago now.
How long have you played so far, Shane? Of the game?
So I've played around 10 hours. I'd say.
Yeah, so you were pretty good. You were pretty good idea of what you think
pretty
about
good.
it.
Like, I mean, like I knew a few things about the game before I went to play it, but I was like, I was a bit weary about it, and I was like, I'll wait to see what it actually. Maybe they did something fun instead, made some good walk out of it, like, of what they got rid of in the old one. But I'll just start off with, like, basically they got rid of the minimap, got rid of radio towers, they got rid of skinning animals for equipment. You can still skin them, don't get me wrong, and they don't even have you showing you skin them, because I liked the whole, the whole movement of you actually trying to do stuff.
Things.
But like, I mean,
women.
like, even trying to heal yourself, the healing bar is gone, how they had it before. If you go, the way, like, they had that whole thing where you go and you fix your thumb if you got injured and you didn't have the health kit and stuff. Instead, they have it, you might have health kits, you craft a few health kits and the thing, and then you go and you heal yourself. And how it's all clunky, how they have a kind of set up. And instead as well, for objectives, it's not as visible on the map, I found. As before, when you go for map stuff. Instead, I know everyone loves lists, so they decided to throw it into Far Cry 5. The best thing ever is fucking lists. You know what? I love going shopping and writing my old bloody fucking list, so let's throw it into Far Cry fucking 5. Yeah, it's the best bloody thing. They had it kind of a layout on the map, but it was just shittily done. They tried to make a little visually appealing looking map. It was like, basically, like, let's throw Google Maps into this rather than have the normal map. let's have Google Maps. That's a good idea. So people don't actually know where things are on the big fucking map where you're actually supposed to. I get over the fact that there's no fucking mini-map, but if there's no map actually with proper explanation of where fucking shit is, then what the fuck is the point in having a fucking map? Let's just have the bloody list, like.
Would you, just for 2 seconds, would you say though that when the developers were talking about getting rid of the minimap and stuff, they were saying how that they felt that their world was getting wasted because people were just going from point to point and they weren't properly exploring. So would you just play devil's advocate for
no,
just play devil's advocate for 2 seconds.
Second, leave me speak.
Just
the whole thing is I understand why they got rid of the minimap, but they executed it poorly by how they replaced it.
Okay, that's fair.
This is the whole thing. I understand the getting rid of the minimap. There was like purpose in it, so you actually look around for your environment to that. But the whole thing was that you had to look through a bloody boring ass list on the fucking objectives to try and find where shit is and mark it out, and you were focused too much on the compass of where things were as well. The compass was there instead. They had a line, a compass of where shit is, so you could find the car. But I found with a mini map, you just skim look at it and you know directly where it is, and you kind of look around, you walk over, and you generally you don't. Once you know where something is, generally you don't go directly there. You you might just skim around, have a look around your environment, maybe cut a few leaves like in Far Cry 3, and actually go over to the car. But in this, they just have a compass, so you go. You're like, oh, it's right straight in front of you. So let's keep going straight and not look left or right because you want to find where this bloody thing is. So a compass actually works way worse than the maps because you're too focused on going forward rather than actually looking around like how they had it on the map.
Are you saying you get less of a lay of the
you actually get
land,
less
like ahead of you?
Yeah, you get less of a lay because of how they laid it.
Yeah,
because
you're worried about trying to stick to like almost like a straight line so you don't get lost because it's so easy to get lost.
So it's retarded like how they surely saw like their explanation was good and all, but they did not find a viable solution to it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So out of the complaints, because there's more. There, in fairness.
Okay, so one thing I actually find is, do people know that Far Cry 5 is a first-person fucking game? Okay? First-person means you do not look at your fucking character when you're playing it. It's not a third-person game. You don't see your character the whole fucking time. So you have a custom-made character. And you see, you might think, why the fuck is he annoyed that you can custom make your character? The reason I'm fucking annoyed is it affects the story. They actually, having a character that's custom-made means that they can't directly... the story that they design can't directly, have contact with your character as much. They just have to have it briefly mentioned. The character you have is always referred to as deputy rather than by name, and your objective is to save the other people on your force. It's just a lot more boring of a storyline. I am a man of story, and I liked it in other. I even like Far Cry 4's story. I actually thought it was alright. I mean, some of it was a bit iffy and stuff, but they had a story, and at least they kind of stuck. You could actually get in contact with your character. I know also that another reason they might have had custom character was because you can do multiplayer, have people come in onto your world. But the other thing I'd say to that is that the people joining your game can make a custom character because they don't get any progress from going into yours anyway.
Yeah.
So what the fuck is the point of having a custom character then? Having a custom character was the most retarded decision they bloody made. You have a custom character for the multiplayer stuff. You don't have your custom character for the actual campaign.
So do you think that, like, unlike say Far Cry 3 where you play as Jason Brody and your character has like an arc in that game and you're very involved in everything that happens, are you saying that unlike in this one you're a lot less involved because the game sacrifices your involvement in the story for like being able to create your own story almost?
And also they have they also have the premise of Far Cry 5. It's it's a cult group. But the whole idea of American town with a cult that comes into it, it's very satire. it should be very satire.
Yeah,
Something like that.
satirical, yeah.
Satirical, like they should have a lot of kind of controversial type things to be said, like kind of how GTA seemed to pull across things. They had to, if they wanted to pull off some bit of a decent, contact with other characters. There's a lot of, in this one, you run into a load of characters as you're passing by and you're talking to them. They should be a lot more satirical, or like a lot more like how you perceive them in modern day, like like a lot. There should be a lot of controversy out of it, because I know it, because they just played the Far Cry 5. They made it way too safe. They were just like, oh, we're going to go the safe route, not have any fucking controversy, or not have anything that might be questionable. GTA do it, and they do very well. They have a bit of controversy. I'm not saying they have to go like as bad as GTA, with the torturing scene they had in GTA 5 or that. They just had to have some bit of. They just had to. The dialogue was just terrible. It was just not good at all. Like, for it.
I think that's like the Ubisoft thing, though. They do make a lot of really safe games, which is something that I'm not a big fan of. I used to like it more when they used to take like a lot of risks. Say like Far Cry 3 in a lot of ways is a risk. Like.
Yeah, it was. Chauvin's character, he was very good. Like, I mean, sure, he wasn't even in it that much, to be honest. But he was like, his whole character was still not. He wasn't exactly a safe character, but his character was still a bit risky. Like,
Yeah,
he could have been. He it wasn't really a direct offense to anyone anyway, that type of place where they were, pirates and stuff. It wasn't gonna trigger people as much as American setting, like.
Yeah, because Americans are all like that kind of. Yeah, no, well, I get you. I think that they were trying to like. It's weird though, because they're like advertising, like marketing thing for it was so political. Like they made it so political, and then what you're kind of telling me is that the game itself doesn't take any risks at all, and it's very safe. Yes, that's kind of, and it seems like a wasted opportunity.
They have a nice thing that people keep saying to me, that they do have this nice feature where you have three. You basically you've three. There's a main villain in it, but you have to go through the three small fellas first, because each fella has one side of the map.
Yeah.
So basically, there's like it's like the family, I think they were called, or something like that. And so there's like the father, who's the big fella over and then there's the three minions, and they each have a lay of land.
That's kind of like Far Cry 4 a lot, actually, with
I was thinking that in a sense.
What are those things
with
called
the
again?
castles or whatever they were.
Fortresses,
yeah. But
I found that quite entertaining in the last
like
game.
you had to try and take over that one, each of theirs maps first, before you get to the father figure, like.
So did you not like that, or did you kind of?
I thought that was good.
Or?
I thought that was good, but it's again, everything about the game is a missed opportunity.
Do you think that because would you kind of agree with me when you say that like Far Cry 4 was getting a bit like, I don't know, the Far Cry formula was getting a bit stale?
It was. They had to change things up, and I don't mind them getting rid of features, even the mini map. It's just they have to find a viable replacement.
Yeah.
They have to find something new and fresh, and it just what they did was not that. Like, I mean, sure, how you play the game, your actual gameplay is the exact fucking same. So they didn't change Far Cry 3 formula really at all. They only changed some features.
Yeah.
And
do you think they
the
took
features
out the wrong
were
features?
they took out the wrong they changed I wouldn't say took out the wrong features, because they could. I'm just saying that they changed them in a terrible way.
Yeah.
Because they took out towers, which actually probably was a good decision, but they just had to, because that was there since 2. That was in Far Cry 2 as well, if I'm not wrong. If I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure I heard they had it in Far Cry 2. But adding it, like, getting rid of it was grand. They just had it was just they had like bunkers and stuff to look for, and that. I mean, they just had to they just had to decide what they're going for in the game, like.
Yeah.
Because they were like, oh, we'll make it look like we changed things, but instead they just changed it to a worse thing, like.
Yeah.
You know, it was on the same category, just worse.
Okay. I'm just trying to think of any other kind of questions I can ask you about the game. What about the new kind of weapons? Are the weapons very different? Are they better,
Around the
worse,
same.
just around the
The
same?
around the same. The weapons, none to shit your pants over. Like I mean, like fuck it. Far Cry 3 and 4. I used to say I'd always go for the same games. The same guns and stuff. And I kind of I'm trying to do that for this one. Actually, you reminded me of another thing now. Just saying that is the before in Far Cry 3 they had the Tatao, for skill points.
Yeah.
So you get every time you go through you get skill points and you get to earn you get to earn new skills, like, to be able to drag a body or something, or be able to
Yeah.
attack from underneath and all that. They had that there, but they also don't have the craft your equipment
Yeah.
anymore. So that's gone. So in the skill point they threw that in, and it's a lot more clunky how they did the skill points this time. They threw it in, so basically you have it. So you have to you've before you'd only go one skill point for one thing. Instead, so now the first few items is one skill point, and then after you have to get like 6 or 7 skill points for each thing after.
Yeah.
So basically, you could be working for each thing is worth a different amount of skill points, which is grand, but there's a lot more things you're trying to get now, because your weapon wheel. It's so much. It's really annoying some features not being there. I mean, okay, like I was just used to not. I get over it, but there's just some things you were just used to having Far Cry 3 that you don't anymore. But I just thought it was just too clunky how they set up the skill pointing. They just brought out the same thing. They just made it worse. And I don't know.
What about okay, so I know that in Primal you could work with animals and stuff. I found that quite interesting. It was probably one of the better parts of the game from I think I played like 15 hours of the game or something.
I haven't
How
really
does that work in this?
I
Have
haven't
you
really worked with animals now, and like I mean, they attack like kind of in the previous Far Cry games, and you also have what's it? You can have teammates. Like I mean,
like people like with
like
NPCs?
yeah, and you like the special ones, like you can get the dog and you can call them to attack thing.
Yeah.
I know that there is animal features where you can get them to go and attack for you and stuff,
Yeah.
but I haven't encountered that yet. I'm not. Like
Have you had partners yet so far?
I've
People
had
or anything?
like yeah
So
NPC
who have
pal.
you met so far, people
It's
wise?
the fellow we're playing. I can get him to go down and do attacks onto the ground. I started using him for a bit, but then I'm more stealth guy,
Yeah, same.
so having him around is kind of makes things a bit more awkward.
Are there any kind of snipers or anything like for stealth?
I've had the other one now I'm working with is a sniper, and she's kind of handy. And you can have just normal fellas as well, normal gunsmen as well, just going around by your side, and they can be handy for stealth too as well. Like the special, like having a normal one can be good too sometimes, just because if you just want to do a up in front attack, like,
Yeah.
and you can just tell that them to it's like you can tell them to attack one person, and you just get ready to, and you attack that one when they're doing it as well.
Yeah, like teamwork kind of stuff
Teamwork kind
with
of thing.
the computer. Are
Yeah.
you kind of so is the whole point of the game to like build up your militia almost, but like by like getting all these people, by like meeting
Yeah.
people in the world and kind of talking
Yeah,
to
that's
people?
interesting actually. It would have been a nice twist, and it would have been nice to have it properly implemented. It was just NPCs are awkward as
Yeah.
well.
Why are
But
you saying the engine's not that good or just
like I
the
mean,
coding or what?
because
Like
there's some things like you could get, if they get caught or something like that, and you can sometimes you could give them a dodgy they could have a dodgy attack and they could kill you or something, or in the crossfire or something like
yeah.
that.
Oh, can they attack? Can they injure you? Your
Yeah.
NPC. Oh, that's pretty. That's actually I
That's
kind of
decent.
like
Like
that.
that's decent. Like, cause
Yeah.
I made a mistake before. I got the plane fella to have a attack on a car that was in front of me or something like that. But I wasn't a fair distance away, so I got stuck in the back right. Although he like it depend. It's whatever he can see. He'll be like, it'd be like, oh, I can't attack there because there's civilians down there, or you're down there, and all
Yeah.
that. You get informed in this, But it's all. I think they should, actually the militia format would have been nice if they worked on it a bit more. And I just think a bit I didn't feel in tune with the characters because the character I was playing as was not really that involved. He didn't even speak a word. Although that would be grand. It's just you didn't know anything about him.
Yeah, no, I get you.
You know?
I get you. Yeah.
It's nice to be in tune with what you're with the whole. Like you felt like you're just walking to a different story each time. It's just sticking with your character being the one main story around the whole thing, because everyone, it's like in the previous, they just have you called deputy, so it's like, oh, deputy's here. Why the fuck is everyone calling you deputy and not know your actual fucking name?
Especially because 3 and 4 you're so involved in the story, like the story is essentially yours. Maybe less so in 4, but definitely 3. The story is yours. Just one last talking point. What about the new villain? How does he compare to Pagan Min and Vass and people like that?
He's pretty decent, in fairness. I haven't really encountered him that much. I'd say his encounters is like, fast. You didn't really see him around as much. Pagan Min was like there in your face the whole time.
Yeah, for the first like 5-10 minutes of the game. So.
Yeah, but he was like even on phone calls and stuff.
Yeah, he was.
Although you do get phone calls, I think in this as well. It's just you don't feel in tune, because it's like, oh, hey deputy, I'm going to convert you and all this, and it's like, oh, you don't even know my name. Why are you going to convert me? Like?
Yeah, like, oh, you're really getting that personal involvement that cult members like to get with their members to make them feel like they're a family. That actually does seem like the name thing actually does kind of seem a bit stupid to me.
Yeah, this might seem like such a small thing, but it's not. It's a huge part of the story.
Yeah.
Because it affects it in a very big way. If you don't have it's not a story campaign if your character is not really involved at all, like.
Yeah.
Because your character is the one that drives the whole story together. Because when in video games, generally the character you play as is the driving force to keep things in line. Because sure, even in like Life is Strange that we're going to be talking about next week, or which we've already recorded, they have the main character keeps everything together. She keeps all things in line. Other games like Borderlands, your character is like a custom one, but even still, it's like how they control the story is like your character still your character is just a part of a bandit, and they was like that bandit keeps things in line.
Yeah.
It's not like one character in general. They managed to avoid the custom character thing now. They did it well. Maybe Far Cry could have. It was just how they did it. I wish they just kept with an actual character that you name. Because I actually didn't think Borderlands until they're the one that actually did a first person. I wouldn't say custom character. It was just a changeable character.
Yeah. Like
it was just a part of a bandit, like.
Yeah. I just think that works quite well too, though, because like all those characters as well have their own kind of stories that you can choose to learn about if you want, but that's not the whole point of the game. But it's there enough that it keeps things going.
It's a very different type of game, but a lot of the mechanics in both games are similar. Actually, it's a good comparison because they were the one. They were nearly the first to do the multiplayer story, like.
Yeah.
To have other people joining on your story, like.
I do kind of like the idea of like being able to play through a story co-op, because I think that there aren't a lot of co-op games. Is there? It's not couch co-op, is it? It's just online, is it? Or?
No, you can do couch.
Can you?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I
need to check that out.
I haven't experienced it yet.
Now,
but
you're
you
playing
can.
On PC.
You can. Sure, it'd be like basically a part of your. The way you'd have a gunsman with you the whole time. So basically, he'd be. You can have. You can have someone with you. You can have a multiplayer with you as well.
That's pretty handy.
So as your side person, like.
Yeah. So overall, are you gonna keep playing the game?
I'm gonna keep playing it because I paid €60 for it, and I am not. I'm going to suffer through it just so I'd say I got my money's worth, even though I don't know what that means anymore.
Such a pessimist, Shane. So overall, do you think that this game is worth playing for like Far Cry fans? Worth playing for anyone? Like, would you recommend it? Like, even if you wouldn't recommend it, do you think?
Okay, I would recommend it to people who haven't experienced the real world before and want to go fishing for the first time in their life.
Oh yeah, 'cause you haven't gone fishing at all.
You
love the fishing.
Oh, I actually forgot to mention fishing. Oh, why would you have? Let's get rid of hunting. Throw in some fishing.
Hey man, the Yakuza games have fishing and they're awesome. The fishing kind of sucks.
You know what
but
also
they're
has
good games.
You know what also has some fishing, some we play. Oh boy, we play.
man.
Why don't? Yeah, but that's actually good fishing.
Who doesn't want we play in their Far Cry games?
Yeah, but they throw in actual fucking fishing. If you want to go fucking fishing, then go fucking fishing in real life. Don't fucking fish it into the fucking Far Cry games.
I think that the point that Ready Player One tried to make was made better by Far Cry 5. That you should try to experience real life instead of playing games all the time. So go fishing in real life. Go reconnect with your dad who left you 20 years ago. Go on a fishing trip.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's the whole point of this game. So reconnect with your long lost dad.
Yeah.
Okay. So have you got anything else to say, Shane? Because you have a long list of complaints. So
Yeah, I think. Like, I'm sure there's a lot more.
no one knows your fucking name. I love it. I'm just reading his notes. They're great. I might flash them up on screen. Actually, probably not though. They're great. I really like them.
Yeah. You know, everyone's a fucking retard in this game. You know what? If you could buy this game, buy it because you want shit on the disc. All right. Fuck you. Goodbye. Chips out.